What's up, you guys? So my name is Selena. You may have seen me in our first video of the I'm Just Saying podcast. And I am gonna be kind of like producing a series on here. So quick background about me. I went to school. I went to a small university in Virginia, and I studied international politics and philosophy. But I did not want to do that with my life. Still trying to figure out what that is. However, that's neither here nor there. We're in a really weird political climate right now, and I like to just be readily aware that I have no idea what the heck is going on. And the pride in me really wants to say like, oh, I understand this and have an opinion on things. The humility in me is saying, stop playing yourself. Like, there are things that are being said, there are things that are being done that I just don't understand. There's language that's being used that I thought I knew what it meant, but I don't have confidence that I know what it means. And so that has led me to start asking just like simple questions. I mean, I've had questions, like, y'all believe me. I've had questions about some of the stuff that people say, some of the positions that people take that just don't make sense to me anymore. And that has been a very long time coming. And so I decided that I'm actually going to document it and then give an opinion based on what I'm finding. So the first thing that I had a question about, well, I've had questions about a lot of things, but recently I had a question about was fascism. And this is probably not going to be the only video I release about this, just because it's something I'm getting a working understanding on. But I did want to produce something before I gave up and just like tossed it to the side because I've been ignoring it for a while. And so fascism, right? So I want to say for the past couple of years, we have been seeing people, like, we've seen like Antifa protests, and I was like, what the heck is Antifa? And it's the anti-fascist. And I'm like, okay. And then I've noticed people calling like Trump supporters fascists. And I'm like, okay, bro, like, I don't even know what this word means. I have a degree in politics. I have no idea what a fascist is. And I'm like, okay, maybe I do know what it is, but maybe I just don't have a clear understanding. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. And so a couple of days ago, I was on Instagram and I came across this woman. It was like, if I can find the link to the video, I'll link it in the description. But it actually wasn't a video. It was like a B-roll of explaining the different isms: socialism, fascism, communism, capitalism, in comparison to each other. And the explanation it gave for fascism was basically the production of labor is controlled by the government. Now, hear me. The production of labor is controlled by government. So not like the actual work, but the result is controlled by the government. And that is a little trippy when you think about it, because it's like, wait, but how? And I kind of started to think, I was like, how does that relate to anybody in America? Like, I don't know anybody that's down for that. That's down for like, oh, I created a piece of art, or I created this new piece of technology and I want the government to control it. I don't know anybody on any side of the spectrum that's down for that. Just can't fathom it, right? And so when I first read it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, objectively, if I were to choose a side that sounds more like they'd be down for the government to control everything, I would choose liberals. Because liberal language always sounds like it's very much for government interference, regulation, and control. With the purpose of protecting the people from exploitation. And so I'm like, that's as close as I can get. Like, it's not making sense to me why anybody in America is being called a fascist. Like, I'm very, very confused, because this whole message does not resonate here. And then I read something, I don't know why it came up. Then I read something that was, oh shoot, if I can remember the name of the book, I'll also link it down below. But I was going through my Everand library, and I came across this book that, it's called Friendly Fascism. It's a book I'm gonna read pretty soon. It's called Friendly Fascism, And it's basically how fascism is slowly being introduced into American society via corporate buyouts. And so corporations are getting in bed with government, and the corporations control the production of labor, but they're also kind of buying up the government. And so the government low-key controls the production of labor. So they're obeying whatever corporations do because corporations own labor. And this, like, I don't know. I didn't read the book, y'all. I didn't read it yet. When I read it, I'll tell you. I don't know. And so I was like, oh, okay. Fascism makes a little bit more sense about why y'all are saying this. So anyway, I was like, okay, I guess I can understand why you would say that. Why you would say, people who are more in support of corporations, who are more in support of, capitalism in the sense of free market economy would be considered fascist. Because what they're not paying attention to is the fact that the corporations are also buying up voice in the government, and the government is leveraging that relationship to control the production of labor. Here's my one thought. It is an infantile thought, and I say infantile because it has not been developed yet. Please ignore the sound that's about to come. I have an ice maker in the back. Is as a person who likes business, but also hates the idea of the government controlling the production of labor, I wouldn't presume that everyone who supports business or capitalism on a micro level, on your everyday American level, is a fascist. That is my one criticism of the language I see on the internet. And the reason I say that is because they're not thinking about the government controlling the production of their labor, and they don't like the idea of a bunch of corporate cronies, which I've also heard the term crony capitalism. Still got to learn what that means in its fullness and entirety. I don't think that they would like the idea that their labor is being exploited, manipulated, and controlled by the government, because I just genuinely don't think that that's an American. I don't think that that's American at all. Americans, to me, based on the history, have always been very much government, know your role and stay in your place kind of attitude, and overstepping has always been a problem. And it's just because of where we come from as a country. So I don't know. I think even us as regular individuals using the term fascist to describe your neighbor meaning they're not a multi-billionaire. I mean, if you got multi-billionaires as neighbors, you do you. That, I wonder what neighborhood you live in. That's cool. But your average American probably isn't a fascist. And in that definition that it seems to be is the working definition of that we're coming to, where you're down for what it sounds like is capitalism that buys up the government and then exploits labor. I don't think any average American is in support of that. And I'll tell you up front, I have a theory, a belief, if you will, that like our biggest enemy as Americans is the government. Period. Point blank, period. Like, the government's not here to help you because they don't know how to do their job. And that's a little wild to say, and that's okay. Like, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But I do think that the government is ready to buy and sell us as people. And I think it comes down to the fact that we as people have forgotten our role in society, and it's to keep the government in check. Like, our knee should be on their neck on a regular. Like, they should be scared of us. And I think that because there isn't a healthy sense of fear from the government, the government is not afraid of the people, it's because the people are afraid of the government. And it's because we've allowed them too much control over too many things. But why would people get behind the idea of big business influencing government? I have no idea. I don't know yet, because I'm acknowledging that there's some piece of this puzzle that's not yet making sense to me. So if this is interesting to you, like understanding what these different terms mean, some of the things I have a list of things I want to explore when it comes to people, politics, society, patterns I've seen in just like social constructs. theories I have about what's really going on with us as just like people in society, I don't know anything. I'm just saying, like, I think that there's more that's going on. I think there's a lot that we're always missing when we get into our heads and we try to prejudge the other side or even our own side. And so if this interests you and understand and getting clarity about what's going on or alternative perspectives, stick around. I am going to be exploring fascism, what that means, where it came from, what does it look like in America, because we have to understand this big thing is that politics in America does not look anything like politics in any other country. Like, our political habits are just like weird. Like our and the way we use language, left versus right, conservative versus liberal, it's just different. And like in other countries it's different. And so I definitely think that though, and it seems so small, and honestly one thing that is making me like not want to do this is because it seems like stuff that everyone should know and is not useful. But I think that we should keep those things in mind when we're talking about, one, the way our country is set up, two, we're using political language that's been around for centuries, because our definition of fascism, when I did some research, it was like super cursory research, y'all. It's nothing like heavier in depth. I literally like looked at a Reddit thread. It was so many people going back and forth on where fascism came from versus how American politics is actually talked about, the roots of Marxism, and like the roots of fascism in Europe, and how our entire political system and economic system, the way we talk about it is just different. And so that's why initially hearing fascism, hearing the basic definition, and then hearing what's actually happening in America was like, those things don't they kind of don't add up, but I can see why you got there. So please feel free to join me on this journey. I'm not saying I know anything. I'm just saying that we need to ask more questions. And I'm just saying, I think there's more going on than we're allowing ourselves to entertain. And fundamentally, I'm telling you this up front. Fundamentally, I'm just saying we need to be more open to asking questions about what are we agreeing to, and what are we really allowing ourselves to say about ourselves, about America, about our neighbors, and what are we allowing to happen in our country. But yeah, welcome to the journey. Super excited to study more on this. Peace out, y'all. I don't know what the next episode is gonna be about, but it's probably gonna be about fascism and me learning more about how that works. So stick around if you're actually interested. Bye.